Catus Maximus here. Had a real hard time finding any information about this tool brand. I don't believe that is a I, as in A-I. I believe that is an A-1 tools. This is a little tiny, like 6-inch adjustable wrench. This is a real basic unit. As we can see, stamped sheet metal body. It's all stamped sheet metal except for the thumb screw. 3 layers on the lower jaw. They just have this portion, which they bend around in a mandrel and insert another piece there. That center piece is what provides the post for the thumb screw here. And we know it's pretty old. This was before chrome vanadium or a lot of good alloy steels, because we can see how that bottom jaw has really gotten pretty beat up. Fortunately, with this kind of design, it's super easy to freshen up the jaws, because we can just unthread this down and completely pull this off, and then just do a bunch of sanding in order to level this off just a little bit. So certainly, and just take a hand file to the top jaw. So this is, you would consider nowadays would be an automotive style adjustable wrench. I guess they were automotive style for a long time, but before crescent wrenches, these were really, I think the basic design had been invented, but they had not been quite popularized as early as this style. But these are, of course, what replaced it, because they just have much better overall design and engineering. Although these style wrenches are actually still sold, and they're kind of just called automotive style wrenches. Anyway, we just have this Diamond M logo. A-1, and no patent number on it, unfortunately, but we do have this made in the USA, of course, and we have patented in November 5th, 00 and March 11th, 02. That would not be the year 2000 and the year 2002. That'd be the year 1900 and 1902, making this little wrench, even if it was made 20 years after the patents, it's still a century-old wrench. And that's why I saw it and I thought, gosh, I saw those patent dates and I thought, wow, that's a 100-year-old tool, a century-old tool. In family terms, that would be 4 generations. This would be something that somebody's great-grandfather would have purchased. And maybe even further than that. And so I thought this was kind of neat, and this is just a real basic, super simple type of wrench. What's surprising is there isn't even Chinese manufacturers or anybody making ones like this anymore, even though it's obviously super simple to pound out, stamp out some sheet metal, fold it over, and make just a real basic adjustable wrench for real cheap, to tell you the truth. So tools have definitely improved over the century since this thing came out, but still thought it was kind of neat, just because it was somebody who thought, well, I can make an adjustable wrench and I can make it pretty cost effective. And of course, this design here can scale to any size real easily, since you're just stamping out sheet metal. You could have short little ones like this, or you could have giant 20 and 30 inch ones pretty darn easily. And I think it's kind of an interesting design and an interesting piece of tool history, and wanted to share it with you all. The good old A1 automotive style or basic style adjustable wrench. And real quick, the big disadvantage to these, and why they kind of been relegated to automotive use, is one, of course, this little, even though this wrench is tiny, you have a massive amount of jaw clearance there. But of course, it's the lower jaw that's moving. So as the bigger the fastener that you're working on, the shorter the handle that you have to work with. And that was always the Achilles heel. Simply doing something like on the crescent, where you turn that way, as you move the jaw back and forth, it has a much less effect on the overall amount of leverage that you're able to get. And just talk a little bit more, there was a solution, which was these old Trimos. This happens to be a 12-inch. Luckily, I have the 6 to 12 and the 18-inch Trimos, and this is actually the worst quality. The reason the Trimos didn't really stay around is because they just were an enormous amount of steel was thrown at this wrench. By far, as far as the history of wrenches, the Trimos had the most steel for a given handle length or jaw capacity. Just amazing how much steel is thrown at it. Of course, the Trimos, why they had to throw so much steel is they had to have a bunch of steel to support the column. As far as vintage wrenches, and I should oil this one, is the fact that when you move the jaw, the moving jaw is the upper portion. So it's a linear wrench like this, except for it's the upper portion that's moving, which means that the jaw has to have an extra thick beam, which means even more steel and even more weight. But it doesn't affect the amount of leverage that you have with your handle, just like a crescent wrench. But a crescent wrench is much more efficient use of the metal versus what a Trimo had to do to essentially get a similar effect. And of course, what would be considered, and is still, this style is still made. Here's an old diamond version. This is the, I guess you consider a higher quality version of this style wrench, because of course this is a forged steel, and these are known as, currently as automotive wrenches. And this version right here, not by Diamond Tools, but by various other manufacturers, but this style of wrench is still made to this day. Anyway, really appreciate everybody who's been watching and subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Till next time, Catus Maximus out.